Minnesota Twins lose game 2 to the Rockies by a score of 5-4. We're going to break it all down. It's coming up next on the Locked On Twins POSTCAST.
You are Locked On Twins POSTCAST, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up? What's up? Back in the lab, back at it. Another Minnesota Twins postcast episode right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. You got myself, Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. That's the man, C.J. Baumgartner, Twins expert over at Zone Coverage MN. He's on X at BaumCJ30. And CJ, before we jump into all the action from tonight's game, quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers, you're getting $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon today to go get started. Okay, man. Twins 2-game win streak starting to heat up a little bit. They got this 10-game homestand going on, going for number 3 tonight. Louis Varland on the mound with the spot start. All things considering, we'll touch on him a little bit more in depth here in a minute, but he was fantastic. Only 62 pitches, but 5 shutout innings. Again, more on him a little bit later. Very next inning, though, tied up at zeros. Caleb Thielbar gives up 4 runs, kind of in the blink of an eye. All of a sudden, you look up at the scoreboard. It was 0-0 a second ago. Now, all of a sudden, it's 4-0. Buxton comes back with a 2-run shot, his first home run in 15 games. Rockies add an insurance run to make it 5-2. And then Carlos Santana cuts it to 1 in the bottom of the 9th inning with a 2-run homer. That makes things a little bit dramatic. Very next batter, though, Jose Miranda strikes out to end it, and that was all she wrote. Twins lose game 2, 5-4. They dropped to 35-32 on the year. Again, let's talk Varland here in a second, but first, as always, biggest takeaways, kind of your A topics from game 2 versus Colorado. What do you got?
Once again, taking too long for the offense to get going. We mentioned it before we went on, Luke, and we just talked about, like, it's felt like it takes them like towards the second half of the game to really kind of get the offense clicking. And, you know, some nights you can get rewarded for it when your starting pitcher can go 6-7 shutout innings and you can kind of make up for it. But when even Varland went 5 shutout innings, and that should be good enough to put your team in a position to win. Thielbar did have that blow up, and that obviously doesn't help. But when you put yourself in a position where that's just kind of when you're down 4 runs in that second half of a game, it's really, really tough to come back, even if it's the lowly Rockies. So once again, that offense just taking a little bit too long to get going bites the Twins in this one.
Yeah, again, didn't know if it was just in my head. Am I making this up? I'm not kidding you, though. If there is a way to bet the Twins under run total the first 5 innings, I feel like I would just smash it every night. It's just one of those goofy things. I got to look up the splits here in the next day or two and bust those out.
I have them, actually. I found them.
Did you pull them up? I would love to see them. Are we making this up or what? It feels like they're just lifeless. The bats are lifeless those first 5-6 innings. Come the 7th, 8th, and 9th, though, all of a sudden, whether they score a lot of runs or not, all of a sudden, though, guys are getting on base a little bit more. There's slapping the ball all over the park, it feels like. What do the splits look like?
So the Twins in innings 1 through 3 have scored 90 runs on the season, and they have an on-base plus slugging of 676. League average is about 699. So below average there. Innings 4 through 6, they are 79 runs scored, and they have a 675 OPS, so relatively about the same. Innings 7 through 9, 103 runs, and a 726 OPS. So our hunches are correct. They are a team that's offense gets going later in games, which is fine if it's a close game, but if you get down 4-0, it's really tough to come back from.
The 90 runs in innings 1 through 3 and 76 through 4 through 6 innings. Do we know where that kind of ranks? Do you have just top of your head, even a gut feel for like where that would rank, I guess, among the other, the rest of the league, really, I guess, the other 32 teams?
Well, I mean, I still think it's got it because, again, this offense is so weird. It's so up and down. The Twins still are like they're still an above average team in runs scored.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to rank okay, but just with this team, it's just a weird vibe.
Let's unpack Louis Varland's day here. Again, 5 innings, 1 hit, no earned, 3 Ks, 1 walk, only 63 pitches again in kind of the spot start duty. All in all, super efficient day from him. I think you got to be happy with that one, right?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Especially with the way Louis Varland, when he pitched, it wasn't just that, oh, hey, he didn't quite pitch well enough and the Twins quite didn't win that game. He'd get blown up in those starts, multiple home runs. And the final start he had before this one at the major league level, he didn't get out of the first inning and he wasn't sharp. He was walking everybody. So for him to come in today, throwing strikes, having that fastball in the good spot, he didn't quite throw the cutter as much as he normally did. And that was really the pitch that got hit a ton. I know he went down to St. Paul and he had an ERA of over 5, but he was kind of tinkering with some things. It felt like he didn't lean into fully what he was trying to mess with. It still looked like he kind of went back to what he knew with a little bit of changes. And again, all in all, a really, really good start for him. He got some swings and misses with the fastball, gave the Twins an opportunity to win the game when he left. Top of the 6th inning, it was tied at 0. So really, all in all, and the main point of this Varland spot start was to give the starting rotation kind of a breather, and you can put yourself at risk of taking yourself out of the game by having a spot starter come up. I mean, overall, he puts the Twins in a position to win the game. An A effort for Louis Varland there.
Yeah, I mean, you're coming in on spot start duty. The expectations, right? The bar isn't very high. You just need to be competitive, and that's what he couldn't do. That's what he couldn't accomplish. That's
why he got sent down.
That's why he got sent down. To your point, even more. And again, it just felt like, boy, you just blew the waters, blew the doors off. All expectations, again, going 5 innings, 62 pitches, no earned. Gave the team, I should say, more than a chance to win this one. So, again, just kind of super frustrating to watch all these starting pitchers. Feels like it's happened a lot the last week, 7 days, 10 days-ish. All these starting pitchers have some really good outings, and the rest of the team around them, whether that's the relievers like Thielbar tonight or the offense, the bats can't do enough, just not do enough to help these starting pitchers get the win. Thielbar, again, 4 batters faced, single, walk, homer, double. Tough day at the office, man, because coming into today, 2.4 ERA, only 1 home run allowed in his last 17 appearances, struck out 14 in 12 2/3 innings. So I don't know, anything to worry about tonight, or just kind of chalk it up to an unfortunate series of events for him?
Thielbar definitely has been shaky this season. And it's why we saw Okert kind of has emerged as the team's primary lefty. I know a lot of people are going to say he's washed. I don't buy that yet. Thielbar is still an effective reliever. Like you talked about, he's pitched well over his last 17 outings, but sometimes relievers just get hit. I mean, that's just kind of the story. I mean, he just wasn't sharp in this appearance. He gave up a single, then he had a walk, then he had a bad pitch that gave up a home run, and then nearly gave up another home run if he didn't hit it to the deepest part of the ballpark for that double, which again ended up coming around to score. And that's a 4 spot in the inning. You're just not going to recover from that. So yeah, I mean, he wasn't sharp in this one, and he's had a few of those outings that have kind of lowered him from that primary lefty to the second lefty out of the bullpen. But overall, I'm not ready to call for Thielbar to get DFA'd or anything like that. Sometimes a reliever just comes in and has a bad outing.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's jump to the Rocco report. All right, favorite or least favorite move or decision, whatever it may be from today's game. Game 2 versus Colorado. The Rocco report, it says what, CJ?
Well, the Rocco report has a lot of hindsight on this one today because obviously Thielbar comes in. If Thielbar comes in and pitches a shutout inning, I don't think we really have a problem with him getting with Varland getting pulled early. But when Thielbar comes in, has that blow up, you look at the pitch count and you say, it's only 60 some pitches. He did get pulled pretty early in that start, but with grace to Rocco, if you look at Louis Varland's last few outings as a starter, he pitched 3 innings in his last start. The start before that, also 3 innings, and then the 2 starts before that, 5 and 5 innings. So he hasn't pitched 6 innings or more than 5 innings, I should say, in almost a month. So it's a lot to ask him to kind of go through that. He hasn't been great the 3rd time through the order, but still, that's going to be a little bit shaky. Then also you look at keeping Cole Sands in the game. He's that multi-inning reliever for the Twins. You leave him in just a little bit too long and he gives up that homer late and you lose by a run. So, again, the decision, I would have liked to see Varland kind of go out there a little bit longer. I get the reason to pull him. The extra hindsight, though, is on Cole Sands. I get he's going to be a multi-inning guy, but you leave him one batter too late, and all of a sudden, that's the difference in the game. But that's when you lose by a run, you can kind of do that with everything.
No, I think that's more than fair, though. Again, easy to say in hindsight, like you said, but again, you lose by one run, as you mentioned, but in such dramatic fashion, it stings, man. So certainly, I think it's fair and warranted to go back on Rocco and kind of pick some of those moves apart from tonight. All right, plenty more deep dive from this one. Plus, we got our nerdy stat of the day. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official sportsbook partner of the MLB. Right now, playoff time in the NBA and NHL, not to mention baseball, obviously in full swing. That means FanDuel is your #1 place to be to bet on all the action. Right now, new customers, you're getting $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Right now, Boston Celtics, 1.5 point underdogs in Dallas versus the Mavs in game 3. Over under for that one sitting at 213.5. Plus, you can always bet on everything. Slap shots, home runs, slam dunks, you name it, they got it. All on the app that's safe, secure, and easy to use. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make your first bet a huge win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official sportsbook partner of the MLB. All right, I don't want to pick on guys individually, but Aaron Gleam had pointed this out a few days ago. A couple interesting stats. And again, a few days ago, so keep these stats in mind. But just real quick, I'm going to rip these off here. Jeffers led the league in OPS first quarter of the season. So he started out red hot. Since then, he's hit 125 in his last 20 games. Granted, again, these are all from about 2-3 days ago, so just keep that in mind. Kirilloff started the year with a 4-game hit streak, was batting .444. In his last 48 games, though, he's now batting .183 and has one game with multiple hits. And then the last one, Max Kepler, cold, hot, now cold again, 5 for 43 in his last 11 games. Just quick thoughts when you hear all that. And which one of those guys maybe has been most detrimental to the offense?
I think really, with all those guys, it's just kind of the high and low nature of the Twins, it feels like this season, because Kepler, like you talked about, started off really bad, was one of the big reasons why the Twins pulled themselves back in, and then all of a sudden is kind of fallen off a cliff again. I think overall, if you look at Ryan Jeffers, just because of where you look at where he started, we talked about it on the podcast, like he was playing at an all-star level clip, and his overall season numbers still look good, but just that dip from like a guy who's like, that guy's going right to the all-star game to like, I don't know, he's just kind of an above average player this year. Like that's been big, especially because you look at who the Twins have to turn to in Christian Vasquez, who as a hitter has been worse than Jeffers is all season long, even though Jeffers is in the cold spot. Like Jeffers in the cold spot still is a better hitter than Vasquez has been all season long. And that's just the thing. When Kepler struggles, they can kind of turn it to some of the other corner outfielders. There's a couple other spots you can kind of turn to. Same thing with Kirilloff. You can kind of platoon him with Miranda and with Santana, both of whom who have had their flashes as well. You can't really hide Ryan Jeffers because he's got to play and at the catching spot, because you're not getting that effort. You're not getting that production, I should say. You're getting the effort from Vasquez, but the production you're not getting out of him. You need Jeffers to kind of make that up in the aggregate.
Dude, I'm looking at Vasquez's numbers right now in the year, and I like the guy, but holy smokes, dude.
He's a great defensive catcher, but he does not have a bat. Catcher.
These got to be some of the worst numbers to start a season by a Twins catcher in a while, are they not?
Yeah, I think, again, to reference Aaron Gleeman, I think he mentioned either on Twitter or on his podcast that I think he's like Drew Butera levels of just not being great. Like that's kind of the guy. Yeah,
what a name drop.
Callback. Yeah,
what a name drop. Wow, holy! I just walked in my 6th grade bedroom with Ken Griffey Jr. poster, Frank Thomas poster right over here. Unbelievable, great name drop. Nerdy stat of the daytime. Give us some sort of crazy stat or fun analytic, Twins related, of course. Laid on us. What do you got?
So Cal Quantrill today had a great outing, 6 innings pitched, no earned runs, only gave up 3 hits, struck out 5. But that's somebody the Twins have faced before because he pitched with the Kansas City Royals. So I went back to look kind of how Cal Quantrill has pitched against the Twins overall in his career. And overall, the Twins have been able to get to him. They've had a 743 OPS against Cal Quantrill in his career. And if you look at his ERA, I think that stat escapes me here, but either way, he's just been a guy that's given up some runs to the Twins in his outings. He's played 11 games against the Twins and has given up, I believe, according to Baseball Reference, 201 runs is what it's telling me here. So that's just been a thing where that's a pitcher that's normally the Twins have been able to dominate when he's been with Kansas City. And this year he just comes out, and like the Twins have been, they make some pitchers who aren't that great all of a sudden look really great.
Looking like Greg Maddux and John Smoltz and Tom Glavine out there all of a sudden this year. All right, don't go anywhere. We got to preview Game 3 versus Colorado. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode also brought to us by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience, what brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. And eBay Motors, they got everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to the ultimate peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights. eBay Motors, they got it all. And whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. Check this out. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Okay, Game 3 versus Colorado tomorrow. Feels like, again, Twins just need to kind of get some momentum going again. You got Pablo Lopez on the mound, and man, it feels like if you're looking for kind of a get-right game for Pablo Lopez, at least on paper, this could be it, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a lineup. I know they just scored 5 runs today, but it's a lineup in Colorado that isn't that great. And it's a perfect opportunity for Pablo Lopez, has that extra day of rest to be able to go out there and to just, like you talked about, just get right and be able to do some things and have that work out for him. I think overall, if he comes out, and the one thing for Pablo Lopez, he's got to throw strikes. And we talked about it on the last show when we were discussing Pablo Lopez. He's just hasn't been able to locate his pitches, whether he's just been off on his delivery, whether his stuff has been a little bit too much for him to control. Either way, if he's kind of nibbling or is unable to locate his pitches, it's not going to be a good start. If he's able to locate them and he's able to keep those walks down, the Twins will be in a good position to win the game.
Catch us up on the Guardians and Royals as of late. Either of them coming back down to earth at all? And if not, how do they keep winning all these games?
I mean, the Guardians I feel like can't lose. I don't know what it is. I want to joke and say that something's unsustainable or something's not going to happen, but man, they just keep winning. So yeah. I secede any arguments at this point in time. I'll wait until they slump before I come back and say anything. They just keep finding a way to score. Their pitching has been okay. It really hasn't been the driver of their team. It's been the offense, weirdly enough, for the Cleveland Guardians, which the last few years it's been the opposite for them. Kansas City, again, they have a lot of that run production. They've had Seth Lugo be a really, really good for them. But overall, I know they lost yesterday to the Yankees, and I think I saw, I'd have to look, that they to kind of get an update. I think, New York's up 10-1 on the Royals. So good to see the Yankees are beating up on another AL Central team. That one we can kind of enjoy a little bit. The Royals, again, are coming down to earth a little bit, but are still clearly in second place. When you look at the Twins overall, obviously 2006 kind of came back from a 13-game division deficit, but the Twins, you pretty much look onto those wild card spots and see that those are all up for grabs. And for the time being, that just might need to be where the Twins set their expectations, is making sure they can find a wild card spot by September.
And glass half full here too. The Twins head-to-head record versus the Royals, specifically just Kansas City this year, pretty dominant, right? I don't have the numbers in front of me. I want to say they're like 5-1 though through these maybe 2 series with Kansas City this year. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I think it's got to be like 5-2, 5-1, something like that. They've won both the series. Yeah. Okay. So, and they've looked like the better team in most of those games. Right. So outside of 2 Bailey Ober starts, the Twins have, whenever Bailey Ober hasn't been pitching, the Twins are a better team than the Royals. No offense to Bailey Ober, but no offense. Some teams just have your number.
Yeah, none taken. If we're looking big picture, just kind of long term for a second, like from a team building standpoint for the Minnesota Twins, Is Simeon Woods Richardson the most encouraging thing to happen to this team and kind of roster this year thus far? Or who's another guy that's maybe shown some signs of being, one of these young core players to add to kind of this, 3, 4, 5 player nucleus that they have right now? They're trying to build around.
I mean, I think it's got to be for this year, especially for the pitching staff. And because of what we talked about with Varland, where every start he had before today was just non-competitive for the Twins.
Yeah.
So for him to come in, he hasn't been spectacular. He hasn't been like pitching 7 innings of shutout ball every single time. But it felt like every time Simeon Woods Richardson has left the mound, the Twins have been in a position to win the game, or at least it's been within reach. He's never left the game where you're like, geez, he just got shelled today and we're just like this an instant loss. So that's been the biggest thing. And not only because the Twins were banking on that internal depth. They, notably did not add a starting pitcher after losing Kenta Maeda and Sonny Gray to free agency. They were really banking on that internal depth kind of saving them. And Simeon Woods Richardson, I think, was probably the last guy that Twins fans expected to be the guy that kind of stabilized things after Varland fell. Because if Simeon Woods Richardson didn't get things back on track, that 5th spot in the rotation is just a gaping hole, because David Festa, although he's pitching better now, wasn't quite ready back in late April, early May. There was a couple other arms for the Twins you could have called up, but I mean, overall, they would have been scrambling to fill that 5th starter spot. Simeon Woods Richardson has just given them a heck of a lot of stability there.
Yeah, very encouraging sides from the young pitcher. Again, I don't think a lot of people had a ton of high expectations, not at least these high of expectations that we've gotten from him so far this year. All right, trying to end with just some more glass half full here. One more bright spot this year, Carlos Correa. I mean, how consistent, how just solid, dependable has he been for this team when healthy this year?
Yeah, I mean, he's been good. As we talked about, the league average OPS is like 699, and he's his season OPS right now is at like a 760, something like that. So at a few weeks ago, it was at like 800 something, and it's cooled down a little bit. But overall, you saw it last night in the RBI double he had. That's a breaking pitch at his knees that he's able to golf the other way off the scoreboard. I mean, he's been a really good player this season. I know. There's been a little bit of internal debate online of like, is Carlos Correa worth the contract? And if you look at the numbers, Carlos Correa, if you judge by OPS plus, where the league average is 100, Carlos Correa in Houston was a 127 OPS plus player. So he's above average, well above average player. In Minnesota, he's been a 126 OPS plus in a worse lineup, considering the Astros were a borderline dynasty when he was with them. And Minute Maid Park is just a bandbox of a stadium, especially for a right-handed hitter. To go to a target field, a little more pitcher-friendly park, not as quite of dominant of a team, obviously, as the Astros have been. He's been just as good offensively, and also has been still a platinum glove defensive player. Obviously, he's not knocking on the door of MVPs, but he really never was with Houston either. He was just a solid player at one of the most important positions on the field, and that's what he's been for the Twins this year.
And that was kind of one of the big criticisms, right? One of the big critiques when he came over was that, okay, yeah, he can put up those kind of numbers and statistics in that lineup when he's surrounded by so much talent, but can he do it when he's got to be the guy? And maybe he started out a little bit slow, and I know he took a lot of heat for how big that contract was and everything else, but it feels like this year he's kind of finally found his footing. And again, he's been, if nothing else, very consistent and dependable, and obviously a clubhouse leader, which they need in the worst way as well. All right, let's get out of here. Always fun talking Twins with you. Win or lose, Twins do lose game 2 tonight, 5-4, game 3 tomorrow. For all the marbles, Pablo on the mound, first pitch, 12:10 p.m. As always, huge shout out to everybody that joined us on the stream. Rest assured, we'll be back each and every game, same time, same place right here to break it all down. Quick reminder, go check out all of CJ's work on X at BombCJ30, plus all the work he's always ripping it up over at ZoneCoverageMN.com as well. And if it's not too much trouble, go like this video, subscribe to the channel, help us get to 8,000 subscribers. That's always much, much appreciated. All right. That'll do it for us tonight. That's CJ Baumgartner. I'm Luke Inman on Twitter at Luke_Spinman. We'll see you next time. But until then, signing off.